Hey guys, it's Mythos Gamer and welcome back to our second game of Arkham Horror. Before we get started with our upkeep, we're going to do a quick overview of the Ancient One, the monsters we have in play, and the gates we have in play. Our Ancient One for this game is Narthalotep. He has magical resistance, so magical weapons only give us half of the die for fighting him. He has the 1,000 Masks ability. At the start of the game, add the 5 mask monsters at the cup. Multiple mask monsters can be in play at once. We haven't had any of the mask monsters yet. We've been pretty lucky. When you start battle with him, any investigator with no clue tokens is devoured. This is one of the reasons that we're trying to keep as many clue tokens as we can. We do not want him to wake up and an investigator get caught with no clue tokens, because then they would be gone. He has the Worshipper's ability. He has numeral cults all over the world. Cultists have the Endless ability. This has already affected us once. It's not a big deal, but it does kind of hurt not having those extra monster trophies. And finally, his attack. If he does wake up, each investigator must pass a lore +1 check or lose 1 clue token. Any investigator with no clue tokens left is devoured. This check's modifier decreases by 1 each turn. Yeah, this is the big reason we want as many clue tokens as we can get. If we have any chance of taking this guy down, if he does wake up, then we're going to need to be able to last multiple turns to try to do as much damage as we can. Moving on to our monsters and gates. Our first monster and gate is we have the Warlock guarding the gate to relay at the Unnameable. The Warlock is a yellow monster, so he does not move, and there's a -2 sneak modifier to get by him. And when we attempt to close relay, there's a -3 modifier for that. Next we have the Hound of Tindalos guarding another dimension at Independence Square. The Hound has a -1 modifier for sneaking, and another dimension does not have a modifier for closing. The Hound is a green monster, so it has special rules for movement. Basically what happens is whenever a square is rolled for movement for him, we move him to the closest investigator who is at a location. Next we have a Chthonian guarding the gate to the City of the Great Race at the Black Cave. The Chthonian is also a green monster who has special movement rules. He actually does not move, but whenever a triangle comes up, you roll a die, and on 4 through 6 he does 1 damage to every investigator in Arkham. The Great Race gate has a 0 modifier for closing, and the Chthonian has a +1 to sneak modifier. We have the Great Hall of Salino gate at the Graveyard. It has a -1 to close modifier. And lastly, we have the gate to Yoggoth at the Witch's House with a -2 to close modifier. So we have 5 gates in play, 3 monsters. Too many more gates open up, then we're going to be in a lot of trouble. Luckily, we do have 3 investigators in the other worlds right now, 3 different other worlds. So hopefully we'll be able to close some gates in the next few turns and kind of get this a little back under control. Alright, we're going to pass the first player marker from Carolyn to Jenny, and we're going to move on to our upkeep phase. Jenny is going to gain $1 as usual. This will bring her up to a total of $9. Next, Carolyn Fern is going to use her psychology ability to restore sanity. She has 4 right now. This will put her back up at 5. Carolyn's going to be coming out of a gate this turn, so I think we need to adjust her stats a little bit. We're going to have to use our fight or our lore in order to close the gate. Her maximum fight is 4. Her maximum lore is 5. So we'll move her lore up to 5 and her luck down to 2. Alright, that's all we're going to do for upkeep. We're going to move on to the movement phase. Jenny is in the last area of relay. So she is going to come out of the gate back at the Unnameable. She does have Explore token now. There is a Warlock there, but because she came out of the gate, this turn she does not have to fight or sneak by the Warlock. Next we have Ashcan at the City of the Great Race. He's just going to move further in. Now we have Harvey at the French Hill. He has a movement of 3, but he only has 2 clue tokens. So we're moving to the Silver Twilight Lodge and grab that clue token. This will bring up to a total of 3. And lastly we have Carolyn at the Great Hall of Salino. She's in the last area. So she's going to come out of the gate with an Explorer token. During the Arkham encounter phase, she will be able to attempt to close the gate. And now we'll move on to our Arkham encounters phase. First we have Jenny Barnes at the Unnameable. She's going to attempt to close the gate to relay. It has a -3 to close modifier. Jenny has a lore of 2 and a fight of 4. So with her fight of 4, she'll get to roll 1 die to attempt to close this gate. She did not succeed. Next we have Harvey Walters at the Silver Twilight Lodge. Carl Sanford draws you into the study to talk, and you feel the cold creep of dread listening to him. Make a lore -1 check. If you pass, your willpower stands up to the test of the ancient wizard, and you even learn something of value. Gain 3 clue tokens. If you fail, his hypnotic tones lull you into a trance. The conversation seems short, but when you leave the study, much time has passed and your thoughts are confused. Lose all of your clue tokens and move to the street. This is one that we definitely need to pass. Gaining 3 clue tokens would be huge for us, and losing 3 we have would be horrible. Let's take a look at Harvey's lore. And Harvey has a lore of 6. So with a -1, we will get to roll 5 die for this. And we got 2 successes. So we will get to gain 3 clue tokens. This will bring Harvey up to 6. And now we have Carolyn Fern at the graveyard. She has her Explorer token, so she's going to attempt to close the Great Hall of Selena. It has a -1 to close modifier. Carolyn has a lore of 5, so we will get to roll 4 dice and attempt to close this gate. And we succeeded. Carolyn will get the Great Hall of Selena as a gate trophy. She has a lot of clue tokens, and we could seal the gate. The graveyard is kind of a hot spot for gates opening up, but with us only having 4 more Doom tokens so the Ancient One wakes up, I think I would rather just hold on to the clue tokens and risk another gate at the graveyard. And now for our other world encounter phase. Our only investigator in another world right now is Ashcan. He's at the City of the Great Race. We need a green or yellow otherworld encounter card. Alright, the first one we drew is a yellow one, and it has the City of the Great Race on it. The odd plant has you in its clutches. Pass a fight -1 check to break free. If you fail, lose 1 stamina and 1 sanity as you partially digest you. Ashcan has a fight of 5. With -1, we're going to roll 4 die. And we got a success. He gets away. Now we're going into our Mythos phase. Alright, our Mythos card says a gate appears at the Black Cave. There's already a gate at the Black Cave, so we're going to have a monster surge. Okay, because we're having a monster surge, we have 4 gates in play and 4 investigators. So we'll be drawing 4 monsters down to the board. Right now there are 3 monsters, and the monster limit is 7. So we want to put any monsters in the outskirts. We're going to draw 1 monster for each gate. The first monster we drew for the Black Cave is going to be the Zombie, a moon monster with +1 to sneak. He has the undead keyword, -1 to horror checks, does 1 sanity damage, -1 to combat checks, does 2 combat damage, and 1 toughness. Next we drew an Elder Thing for Yuggoth at the Witch's House. Is a diamond monster with -2 to sneak. He has a -3 to horror checks, does 2 sanity damage, +0 to combat with 1 stamina damage. It has 2 toughness. It has a special ability. When you fail a combat check against Elder Thing, you must discard 1 of your weapons or spells. Next, we drew a mask monster for Independence Square, the God of the Bloody Tongue. He gives +1 to sneak rating. He does -3 to horror checks, doing 3 sanity damage, -4 to combat checks, doing 4 stamina damage. It's a toughness of 4. He has the Endless ability, so you don't get to keep him as a trophy. Overwhelming 1 ability, so even if you pass a combat check, he still does 1 damage to you. And Nightmarish 1 ability. Even if you fail a horror check, he still does 1 sanity damage to you. This is a pretty tough monster. We definitely want to avoid him as long as we can. He'll be with the Hound up at Independence Square. And lastly, we drew a Dark Young for the gate at the Unnameable. He's a hexagon monster with a -2 to sneak. He gives +0 to horror checks, doing 3 sanity damage, -1 to combat checks, doing 3 stamina damage, 3 toughness, has physical resistance, and Nightmarish 1. He's pretty tough, but he is a yellow monster, so he does not move during monster movement. However, next turn, Jenny will have to dodge both him and the Warlock. Next, we'll be placing a clue at Hibbs Roadhouse. Right now, Hibbs Roadhouse has 1 clue token. Now that it has 2, this might be a place you want to come just so we can get those clue tokens and help us out against the Ancient One. However, it isn't very far from the God of the Bloody Tongue, and we definitely want to avoid him. Next is monster movement. First, we'll look at the hexagon. And we have no hexagon monsters. We have 1 triangle monster, the Chthonian, which has the special movement rule. There are no star monsters, and no half-cross monsters. The Chthonian says, instead of moving, roll a die. On a 4 through 6, all investigators in Arkham lose 1 stamina. Everyone's safe this turn. And finally, the text of our Mythos card. It's a headline. Church group reclaims Southside. All monsters in the Southside streets or locations are returned to the cup. Unfortunately, we have 7 monsters on the table, and none of them are in Southside. Next, we have our rumor, the Southside Strangler Strikes. With the ongoing effect, return 1 ally from the ally deck to the box at random at the end of every Mythos phase while his card is in play. We are losing the ally Tom Mountain Murphy. He gives +2 to fight, and you take no stamina loss from the overwhelming ability. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching another turn, and I will see you next turn.